Hi, it's Andy from Home Septic. We're just going to go through choosing a sewage treatment plant, part two. So here we're going to look at what tank to buy, what you need to know about sizing a tank and all that sort of good stuff. Okay, what size tank do you need? Okay, so tanks are designed basically on the amount of population the house is going to have as a maximum or as a general. Okay, so you might have seen, for example, when you're looking at tanks online, they have this 9 PE or 9 pop. So that means 9 person or 9 population. Okay, so to size the tank that you'll need to align with building regulations, and really what you should be having for a normal domestic house, i.e. a house with a constant population, you're not using it, for example, for weddings and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so a one bed flat should have a 3 pop, and then for each additional bedroom you add a 1 person to that. So for example, a 3 bed house would require a 5 person, 5 population tank, and then 4 bed, 6 population, so on and so forth. Okay, other general factors. So we've already talked about ground in part one, so you need to bear these factors in mind when selecting a tank, i.e. do you need a pump? Can you have a normal full depth tank, or do you need a shallow tank? All of that sort of good stuff. So any sewage treatment plant must conform to British Standards EN 12566, so always look for that on the tank. We believe that the Graph tank is the best in the market. We're quite environmentally focused. It's got great effluent qualities. The environmental credentials come from production all the way through. It's also quite reasonably priced. I think it's the best value tank in the market. However, it's a deep tank. It's 2.8 metres deep, whereas, for example, the Mars Shallow, which we also install, is 1.6 metres deep. We like the Harlequin cap ranges as well for those that are on a tighter budget. I mean, there's not that much difference between the Graph and the Harlequin. As standard, the real price differential comes in as if you need a pumped outlet. Essentially, the Harlequin can offer some good savings there, primarily because the Graph Basic 1 to clean tank doesn't have a pumped outlet internal options. You have to have an external chamber, which obviously adds cost, or you can have the Graph Advance, which again adds cost. Okay, so 10 factors to consider when buying a tank. The material the tank is made out of. So basically tanks are made of normally 2 types of materials: fiberglass or like a composite polyurethane type material. Generally, the composite tanks are stronger, and they're really the standard in the market. Both the Graph, the Harlequin are polyurethane. So the warranty of the tank. So you need to get a decent warranty on the tank. I mean, if it's a polyurethane tank, then really it should last forever, really. Not forever, but your lifetime. You should look to get like a 10-year structural guarantee. So Graph offer a 15-year one. Harlequin's only 2 years. I mean, we've reported back to them that I think that their tanks are worth a bit bigger guarantee, but I think it swings and roundabouts. Okay, so the warranty of the components. This is the thing that really will go wrong. The tank should never break, really, if it's installed correctly, which we hope that we would, and we've never had any problems. So the Graph tank, for example, offers a 3-year guarantee on all the internal parts. Harlequin 2 years. So relatively comparable. You should look for at least a year. So this is all like the air compressor. So and the other working parts within the tank that actually do the treatment element of the process. Electrical consumption is quite a big one. So some tanks can be quite juicy. For example, the Graph only uses 36 kilowatt hours per person per year, compared to aeration models, which are quite common in the market, which use 217 kilowatt hours. So that's about £100 per annum based on a 4-person household difference. And obviously electricity prices just going up and up and up. So it's something to bear in mind. So also look for no internal working parts. So avoid tanks with complex internal moving parts, i.e. valves, motors, discs, gearboxes, sensors. Basically, it's just more stuff to go wrong. Metal in sewage corrodes, big bills, to repair items, for example, discs. You're talking thousands of pounds potentially with the labour to repair this sort of stuff. So, for example, the graph has no internal moving parts, which is another reason why we advocate it, because it will last, and if things go wrong, it's not going to be a massive disaster. So, air blower position. Make sure the air blower is housed outside of the tank in a weatherproof unit. If the air blower is located in the tank, it will fail due to wet conditions. I mean, it goes without saying, really. If it's in the tank's wet inside and a bit minging, you don't want your air blower inside. So the compressor running time. So you look for a tank where the compressor is not constantly on. This reduces electricity costs and significantly extends the life of the compressor. So again, the graph, the compressor only comes on during the cycle. Lots of other tanks don't. So the compressor can be quite expensive. It's just logical. Okay, so can the tank work when underloaded? So the Graph Advance is the only tank I've come across where there's an underload detection. So basically, for example, say you have a property that requires a 9 population tank, yet there's only 2 of you living there, and you're not there all the time. Say it's like your country retreat and you're living in London for half the time, then the tank's designed for nine persons, and a normal tank will just work to that limit. And if it isn't the effluent coming in, it just doesn't really work properly. It can affect your effluent quality. It can make the tank break effectively. So the Graph Advance has an automatic sensor to work to the load. So it's a really good option for anyone who has to have a big tank because of the size of the bedrooms, but doesn't use it to its full capabilities. Okay, servicing and emptying intervals and costs. So generally a de-sludge should cost you about 140 to 200 quid. You should really get it emptied annually anyway. I think that if you have a sewage treatment plant, you should get it emptied annually at the service. You need to get it serviced these days. So if you have a sewage treatment plant, you need to make sure that it gets serviced annually, and that within that service you get an effluent test or some form of assurance around the effluent quality. If there isn't that, then it's pointless, because when you come to sell, there's no record of that element, which is the main point of having it serviced. If someone's just coming and checking that all of the components are working, that doesn't mean that the tank's working to the agreed levels from the Environment Agency. You just open yourself up. I'll just to say we do effluent tests. So if you're looking for a service, please get in touch. So treatment performance. So I don't know how important this is to lots of people. I mean, we're quite environmentally focused, as we've said, but I think the real piece here from a general perspective is if your tank only just complies with 12566, the British standard, then it doesn't take much to go wrong for you to be breaking the law in terms of the effluent quality on the output. So if you have a tank that's got really good effluent quality, so for example the Graph 1's cleaners absolutely smashes the British standards, then you've got more wiggle room, and as the tank gets older, you've got more room to go before you're breaking that rule. Whereas, for example, other tanks, we won't say their name, but you can see on there's WTE, you've got some published some results. You can see that some quite popular big name tanks are really close to the limits, which means that if it doesn't take much for them to, over a couple of years after they've been used and installed, that they will actually be outside of those parameters, and you'll struggle to sell your house potentially unless you want to have a really expensive repair bill. Okay, so then the main points. Please get in touch if you want to chat through any of this. Where either by email or phone, it's all cool. Look forward to hearing from you. See you later.